How to use pressure to your advantage. So you've probably heard that expression that your greatest strengths can also be your greatest weaknesses. I mean, there's balance, and pressure can, put people in the hospital or contribute to health problems, maybe heart attacks. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know for sure, but or it can create diamonds. Some people do their best work under stress, but stress can kill. So that's the famous expression anyway. So how do you use pressure to your advantage? So everything in life is a signal. Like Oprah says, life is always talking to us, and if we're receptive, that's why self-awareness, which is really to me kind of like life awareness, it's not focused on yourself, it's focused on the moment, or what some people call mindfulness. Like, what are other people trying to tell you? What is life trying to tell you through other people? What is life trying to tell you through events? And for me in my life, a lot of times it involved slowing down. I think people that are more confident, they have a different energy vibe. It's kind of like more relaxed, confident, even playful. I early in my life, when I was less successful, I tended to take things too seriously. Too seriously is a value judgment, but I would just say take things, to heart. And, they say that if life is a game, then the important thing is to find a game worth playing. Bob Proctor says that too many people are extras in their own movie. And that's why self-awareness is critical. I did a podcast yesterday where I called The Gift. I talked about that a little bit, that, listen to what, your siblings say and your parents say and your kids say and your spouse says, but you're responsible for your life. You can't be responsible and blame other people and play a victim. Or I did it because this person put pressure on me or this situation put pressure on me. I mean, we decide. There is no quote unquote thing is pressure. There's external events, and then there's a reaction to our events. Like, famously, cognitive psychology was born because first there was behavioral, like B.F. Skinner with rats. He thought that, any stimulus led to a certain response. But then they came up with cognitive psychology, which talks about thinking. So it's not just stimulus to response, it's stimulus and then what's called organism and response. So there's a stimulus and it's mediated through our brain or our mind or our thinking. And the same stimulus can have different results. That's why something can happen to us once and we can react one way. Maybe if we don't like the result and we're smart enough, the next time we react differently. So pressure is, I believe, from the idea of clarity, really fundamentally, often, if not always, a divergence or discrepancy between what we want to do and what we feel we need to do. Like, people have more heart attacks they find on Monday morning when they go to jobs that they don't want to go to, than any other time during the week. And a lot of people, like they say, famously, a lot of people lead lives of diet desperation, Diet Coke desperation. No, quiet desperation. And, like they say, there's a difference between living and existing. So the way that you make pressure work for you is that all of your feelings are basically an internal guidance system, I believe. And the way that I became successful is not anything that you can really see or quantify. It's more, in my mind, it's individual, so you'll have your own definition. But for me, it's kind of like you feel. Like, I wake up in the morning and I'm happy and I love what I do and I feel like I'm good at it. Even if I didn't feel like I was good at it, but I enjoyed it, that would be like probably good enough. Being happy with what you have is more important than having a lot. And paradoxically, when you're happy with what you have, gratitude is the energy and vibration of abundance. And we live in an abundance universe. So the more grateful you are, the more happy you are. Because when you're happy and grateful, people want to be around other people that are happy, and they just naturally want to give with you. Like, if you feel like you're full, you're on an energy vibration of like fullness, and more fullness comes to you, more prosperity comes to you. Abraham calls it the, what does she call it? It's not the vault, but it's where all your blessings are being kept for you until you're open to them. Bob Proctor says it's just going to a higher level, higher vibration, higher frequency. Anything you want is at a certain frequency. So to get that thing or be that thing, to attract that person, attract that job, attract that business, attract that financing, It's just being in harmony with that frequency. Like anything you have in your life is basically a reflection of your mindset. I'm not saying like there's a famous book, when bad things happen to good people. There might be all kinds of karmic things. Perhaps we live more than one lifetime and, things carry over, or perhaps even high souls or other souls, purposely go through trials. We all go through trials to, refine our character, make us stronger, and refine our thinking. So all those factors come into play. But be that as it may, life is not completely fair. And I wouldn't even say it's, always fair. And some people might not even say it's mostly fair. But there is some fair element. Like that doesn't negate that it can be unfair. But, often the cream does rise to the top. People don't like to admit it, but there is a certain meritocracy. Like most people that get to the top, it's not because they lie, cheat, and steal. It's because they work harder than other people. Usually because they're more generous and kind and, honest than other people. The quickest thing that can sink you to the bottom is pettiness, meanness, that kind of energy vibration, taking shortcuts, because you don't value yourself. Like Tony Robbins says, we don't get what we deserve in life. He might say also want, I'm not sure, but we get what because I was thinking about that quote before and I wasn't sure, but we get what we tolerate, and that's true. And Teal Swan has a saying that I love this saying, and I try to remember it. And it is, what would a person that loves themselves do? She says to herself, like whenever she has a question of what to do, I don't know if she says whenever, but it's good to ask oneself, what would a person that loved oneself do? And for me, the fundamental shift, I got a little sidetracked, but that I think has made me much more successful is that I stopped focusing on results, which put all kind of pressure to me, and focus more on just being and feeling. And like the feelings isn't a total guidance system. Like I don't believe in just going by your feelings, because if you always just went by your feelings, human nature can be weak and lazy, and then people just sit all day, perhaps, eating bonbons and watching TV. But I think there's an inner part of our nature also that we'll get kind of bored and frustrated and tired of that, and, maybe even a little depressed if we didn't actualize our potentials. So I shifted from more like saying, like, what do other people think of me? How do I compare it to other people, to, am I having fun? Am I enjoying this? Am I actualizing myself? Is this part of my destiny? Is this part of my self-awareness identity? Identity is key, because like Tony Robbins also said, we always live up to our identity. Like he gave the example of a beggar who was begging for money, and I think normally he said they made, I'm just making up this number because I forget what the actual number was, but $25 a day. And he said, usually he would get $1 a day or $1 at a time or $2 a time. And at the end of the day, it would add up to $25. Maybe it was $100, maybe it was $50, I forget. But let's just say $25. So he said on one particular day, someone just came up and gave them like whatever it was, either that amount or more, maybe say $40, $50, and they're used to getting $25 a day. So it was still early in the day. They could have stayed and made, more money, but the person just stopped because their identity was that, I feel comfortable making $25 a day. That's why people that win the lottery, if they don't have a wealth mentality, they just squander it away. Basically, we always act according to our identity. Like people that are happy, even if quote unquote bad things happen to them, if their identity is that I'm happy, they generally stay pretty happy. Like right now I'm actually going through a lot, but I think my mood is not too much different, because I think I just identify as like being a happy person. And, happiness, not because of events, just happiness. It's the difference between doing and being. I'm not happy because I'm doing something, although I try to do things that make me happy. I'm happy just because I choose to be happy. I'm happy because I identify as a happy person. So identity is key in life. If you identify as a wealthy person, if you identify as a generous person, if you identify as a victim, if you identify someone that's been, hosed over in life, then yeah, you'll just probably attract more of those experiences because you'll put out that energy. And in terms of pressure, like life is kind of like a knife's edge sometimes. It's kind of like there's a very fine line between success and failure, between happiness and unhappiness. And if you can find the right side of that dichotomy, the right side of that knife's edge, and use pressure to make diamonds. Use, the pressures of life to refine you and make you stronger as opposed to crush you. Then you will have used pressure to your advantage.